Do this instead of getting a student loan. Alternatives to consider. The fate of a typical student involves taking out a huge loan to study, getting their desired education, and then spending years to pay back the loan. But it doesn't have to be this way. In this video, we'll be discussing the best alternatives to pay for student loans. Student loans are a natural part of any student's life as they enter college and university. In fact, most students rely on loans to pay for tuition, living expenses, and other costs associated with their education. However, these loans can often be expensive and have a negative impact on your credit score for several years afterward. If you want to avoid student loans completely, keep watching the video until the end to find out the best alternatives to paying student loans. Why should you not borrow student loans? Student loans are often necessary, but they can be dangerous. Here are a few reasons why you should not borrow student loans if at all possible, and why you should explore other options before taking on debt. Interest rates. Student loan interest rates are notoriously high and can be as high as 10%. This can add a significant amount to the cost of your loans, especially if you take out a large amount of money. Debt impact. Student loans can have a negative impact on your credit score, which can make it harder to get approved for things like mortgages and car loans in the future. Imagine you want to buy your dream car in the future and you can't get it just because you had taken out a student loan before. Disappointing, right? Short-term benefit. While student loans may be necessary for many people, it's important to realize that you're only benefiting from this debt in the short term. Once you start paying back your student loans, you may find that it's very difficult to get ahead financially. Much of your earnings will be spent on paying back this student loan, and you'll start to regret your decision of taking out the loan or even studying. Alternative options. When there are alternatives available, why would you want to put yourself through the trouble of getting a student loan? There are plenty of other ways to pay for school if you don't want to take out a student loan. Many students choose to either earn scholarships or get grants, and there are also programs available for low-income students. Now that we've discussed why a student loan isn't the best option to pay for college or university, and that there are other methods available, let's go over some of the best alternatives now. Borrow from friends and family. If you can't pay for your education with cash, another option is to borrow the money from family members or friends. This option is especially common for students who can't qualify for scholarships or grants. You may have to pay the money back, but if you do, it won't show up on your credit report. However, you should avoid taking out loans from family members or friends unless you're positive that they won't want the money back. If you don't pay them back, it could cause a terrible rift in your relationship. But it's always good advice to pay back the money you borrow from someone. Pay cash for your degree. Another option is to pay cash for your education instead of taking out student loans. Paying for your degree with cash will definitely take time, and you need to have the cash ready when you apply to college or university. You can use savings or money from a part-time job to pay for school, or you can get a part-time job and put the money towards your tuition. We'll discuss this later. However, it's important to note that you'll need to factor in living expenses if you're not planning to live at home while you attend school. It's also important to keep in mind that this option may take longer to complete if you're studying full-time. Start a job. Many students work to afford their studies and living expenses and to avoid student loans. There are two ways to taking on a job while going to school. Either you can earn part-time as you study and keep paying for your school year by year, or you can take a gap year, work full-time, save money, and then start school once you have the money to afford your entire degree. No matter what path you choose, just know that you're never too early or too late to start studying. It's better to pay for your own studies than pay back the loan with interest. Turn to scholarships and grants instead. If you're a student who's been doing great in school and you have excellent grades and a curricular activities record, then the good news is that you may qualify for scholarships, which can cover your tuition fee and living costs as well. These scholarships are highly competitive as every student is trying to secure it, so be prepared to stand out in the crowd. If you're already pursuing a degree and want money to continue your semesters, look out for your university's scholarships for continuing students. There may be plenty available. On the other hand, if you're a student whose grades haven't been great and you're a low-income student, there are many programs available for you to receive grants that won't show up on your credit report. These are non-repayable funds that you don't have to pay back, and they can go a long way towards covering the cost of your education. Choose an affordable school. Choosing an affordable school will help you pay for your education without having to take out loans. You can find out what a school's tuition and expenses are by researching the university's website and by talking to representatives from the school. When looking at different schools, keep in mind that you can't just look at the tuition. You also need to take into consideration the cost of living while you're in school. You can use a cost of living calculator to determine how much you'll need to pay for things like food and rent. Make sure you choose a school you can afford without having to take out a loan. This option is an ideal one if someone doesn't want to burden themselves with a loan and have some money to afford college or university. It's always good to pursue something that won't cause you trouble and stress in the future. Explore crowdfunding. If you're a low-income student who can't qualify for scholarships or financial aid, there are a few crowdfunding websites that might be able to help you pay for school. Sites like GoFundMe and YouCaring allow you to post a campaign to ask for money and offer gifts in exchange for certain donations. If you're trying to get money to pay for school, make sure you set your campaign to go towards tuition and living expenses. Keep in mind that crowdfunding websites don't allow you to ask for money that you'll use towards paying back a loan. You can only use the money to pay for tuition and living expenses, so you won't have to worry about paying it back. Just like you, there will be many students running their campaign, so always share your genuine story and your real intentions for studying. People are likely to help you if they believe you'll actually use their money to study and use your degree to do something exceptional in the future. A good tip is to share your future plans. Student loans are often necessary for students to pay for their education, but they can be very dangerous and expensive if you have to take them out. There are a few different options for paying for your education that don't involve taking out loans, such as earning scholarships, applying for financial aid, and paying with cash. It's important to carefully consider all of your options before making a decision about how to pay for school. It's time to draw the curtains now. Which alternative would you be going for? Share your preference in the comments. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them in the comments below, and I will get back to you. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to share the knowledge with those who might find it useful. I'll be back with more videos. Until then, take care and stay tuned.